Many men have nothing to smile about. Been broke down, too proud to cry it out. Walk a mile in my boots and you know what I'm about. I took some licks and I took some hits and I found out them bones can actually break sticks. But them words are powerful as shit.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Let the Paint Dry. Here we are again after having my sister here. And we're going to do like we normally do, and we'll get into some songs, see what's on the top here. Just a little bit of meditative space, so we'll see what's going on. Let's take off the glasses here. Ya-da-da-do, ya-down-dee, don-dee, don-dee, dee-do-do-da. No de do, don de do, de do do do, de do do do, de do bon bon, be do bon bon. I'm trying to pop a hole in your hat, to pour some love, to pour some truth. I'm trying to straighten your crown. Don't bomb Bombay. Don't bomb Bombay. Don't bomb Bombay. Don't bomb Bombay. Whoa, I'm trying to straighten your crown. Oh, I'm trying to straighten your crown. I'm coming from the dusty roads. I'm coming from the dusty roads. I'm coming from the dusty roads and the dark nights. Black water may be painful, but let it make your soul be a little bit more thankful. Humility is so hard to find in these trying times. Mm-hmm. 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 Whoa. So as we get in our bodies and we stay in our bodies, and you know, it's funny because we started this very organically. It just felt natural, and now it feels like, how could we do it any other way, right? How could we not sing and open a song? And I just want to just celebrate just the last time we were here. I had my baby sister here, and just to capture that in a podcast and for the record and to archive that. And it was so special for me, and just her spirit and just having her up here. So if you see that video and you're able to give to her Venmo, she's an artist, a black artist, as you saw, a black creative queer woman, a lover, a healer, a songster, a writer, and she's a painter as well. Feel free to give to her as you're able in this season, as we readjust how we look at the black creatives and us as creatives, and what it takes for it to go around. You know, it was a huge contribution and giving of emotional and spiritual labor on her part, and me just wanting to hold space for that. And this is what we do, and this is Let the Paint Dry. And this is what it's about in this season. Here we are, after the election and all that tension that built up. I wanted to sing through that. I wanted to stay in my body and stay in our bodies as the people around me, as we move forward towards the end of this year and into 2021, and a lot of new things on the horizon. A lot of people, I think it's important to say those that when the election didn't go their way, that it's important to recognize that and be gracious. And if it went your way, okay, congratulations. If it didn't, I understand that pain. I'm reiterating what Dave Chappelle said. And so I want to make that clear. I don't want to, I thought it was so fitting. So as we move forward, we realize that pain doesn't go away and divide doesn't go away. And certain people, we know that it sits in our bodies. But again, as what the clarity that I feel like I had early on before the election is that nobody's going anywhere. We're all here as citizens of this country and of our communities, whether it's here in Tacoma or Olympia or California or on the East Coast. And we are all here together, and we have to find a way to live together. And so it's important to have grace and humility, I feel like, in this season. I feel like that's very, very fitting and important, and to find our humanity and keep our humanity, the best side of our humanity, as we move forward. There's so much work that needs to be done because this year created new conversations, or maybe even around old issues such as race and capitalism and business and family and gender and rights and immigration. All those really, really heavy, painful conversations, I think the pandemic brought them to the forefront because everything had to be looked at in a different way. And there are people right now that have been completely wrecked financially in this year, just wrecked. And they're finding their way through the murkiness. And then there are people that have thrived. They have made more money than they did the year before. They made more money like post-pandemic than they did prior to the year before. So with that reality, it's going to take a very, very open mind and open heart and very, very intelligent and intelligent and heartfelt. It's going to take the mind and it's going to take the heart. It's going to take the intellectual up here, heady, and it's going to take right here, your compassion, your heart as we navigate. Because you have people that are in the same neighborhood, some that are winning and some that have lost severely. And it is affecting their bodies, is making them sick, is making them emotionally just distraught, and just the mental wellness is just completely on edge. There are people that are homeless. And homeless is one of those things that we throw it out. We kind of weaponize it, and it's way more painful than that. We say it kind of lightly. I feel like I say it too lightly. And I've been homeless a few times, which is kind of funny to say because it's funny for me because I've actually been homeless, living in the car and sometimes no car. There needs to be compassion. And I feel like with the pandemic causing everybody to pause, everybody, no matter if you were rocking at the billionaire status, you had to pause. Everything wasn't as convenient. We had to slow down and slow up, right? So that should tell us, as we look at people that have lost, to slow up. What can we give? How can we help? We can't give everything. We can't solve every problem, but we can start to turn our hearts to be more compassionate, to slow up and realize that this reality, this insulation that we have, I think we really see it in the major cities and the more populated places in America where there are people, there's money. So we have that insulates us, right? That money insulates us. And then there's a whole hierarchy on who it insulates more and who it insulates less. I think we need to re-examine that. I think this is a good year to re-examine the wealth gaps, to re-examine who is taken care of and who isn't taken care of. And always we have to ask people. We have to become in relationship with them so that we can have vulnerable conversations. We have to become trustworthy. We have to be a trusted source. And yeah, I've had a lot of conversations say, so yeah, I'm on that preacher. I'm preaching this afternoon. We have to, because we're in this together, and none of us get out of this journey with our hands clean, not able, we're going to have to get our hands dirty in our communities. I'm an artist. A lot of people look at that. There's certain people that have come to me and, oh, you're living your best life. You get to paint all day. Yeah, you got to sell those paintings if you want to keep painting. You want to keep showing up to the studio. There's rent to be paid. There's taxes. There's food. You can't live on paint alone. Man can't live on paint alone. Right? There has to be customers. So this is as an artist, it's like there are so many needs that I see and so many people that I come in contact with. And this is an opportunity to be there for people. And I think back to when I was 19 years old. I grew up with very little resources. I grew up, my dad was a welder, one income family, African-American black family in Southern California. The steel industry crashed and all the jobs went overseas. My father was scrambling for years. He had a house down in Ontario, California, and we all were young and new track home and I helped him put in the yard, put in the rocks. The first time I ever saw red rocks. I was a little guy. I was 5. The steel industry crashed and he scrambled for work for many years. He worked at junkyards as a welder. Any place that would take him, he'd work for a while and as long as he could to provide, and his family was growing. There's 5 children. And then he tried to buy a house and got cheated out of it. Just a scam is all it was. And we got evicted and we were renting for many years. And I believe if I count back, it was in between the times of being homeless, it was 17 different places that we lived. New schools each time. And then there was a time where we were homeschooled. And so we were isolated from other kids and we tried to find homeschool communities. We lived in places that looked like somebody literally bombed the place. And we did that for years. And it wasn't until 2010 that my dad had financially got himself to a place where he could purchase a house again. And we're talking years. I'm grown. I'm in my 30s. Yeah, I was 31 because it was 10 years ago. And a month after he buys his house, he gets in an accident and he gets killed. And I think I've talked about the accident before. He had an accident working on his truck and caught on fire and was burned to death. A month after he finally got to be able to buy the house. That's how it goes sometimes. And I don't say that to be depressing, but that's real and that's life. And that's where certain people are. So if you're doing well, and if you've always done well, you have a lot that you have so many opportunities that you can pour into people's lives. And maybe you're not ready for that, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Each of us are on our own journey. I'm just putting it out there. As an artist, I come in contact with people with money because only certain people that have money can buy original pieces of art. That's a certain group of people. And then I come in contact with people that have very little, that are working daily from a deficit on every level. They're working from a deficit emotionally, family, community, financially, spiritually, working from a deficit. And they're showing up and trying to put a smile on their face, trying to act like it's normal, trying to act like they're okay and they're not okay. So when I sit as an artist, and I think it's just the nature of art, you come in contact with all of that. So I have to talk about it. I have to talk about how it makes me feel. It's kind of surreal to sit with somebody that can buy an original piece of art. And I need that. I need that that's how I live as an artist. But then I have people that are struggling so bad. And I just see I'm in this weird vortex and this weird like threshold or this weird portal or whatever you want to call it. And as I look at it from an artist standpoint, I just see the need for community. Because there are people in our communities, in Tacoma, in Olympia, that are going through things that they should not have to go through when there's so much wealth around them. And I'm not talking about taking anything from anybody and giving it to someone else, but when we have overflow, why not? I want to invite people to that. When you have overflow, where even if you shaved off that little top portion of income and gave it, it wouldn't affect you. Give. People in need. You help them, they're going to pour it right back into the economy, your economy, that you're pouring into. It's one big circle. Makes me think of that movie. I can't even think of the movie. Some goofy movie where he was like, it's a circle, not a triangle. It's a circle, not a triangle. It all comes back around. So I didn't write any notes today because this is bubbling on, this is on the top of my heart. This is so important to me. And I was reminded of my calling. So I told a little bit about just how I grew up. And I remember being 19 years old. I don't know if I ever finished that earlier, just a little bit ago. I was 19. And I remember asking God, like, why is my life so hard? I could tell you where I was at in California, on what road I was on. I can tell you right where I was at. And this is the answer I got. He said, so that you'll know when you sit next to somebody that's struggled and that has had pain in their life, you'll actually know what they're going through. I said, okay. And for some reason in this season of my life with just so many people that I'm in contact with, that has come back to me. I got all kind of issues with religion and God and who that is. I'm being completely vulnerable and this is the season. I got all kind of issues. But I was reminded of that, and that is true. Because I've been through so much shit in my life, and it just seemed like it never ended. But I've learned so much. And I knew there was a purpose to all that pain and all that suffering financially, emotionally, self-esteem. I don't know if I shared this before, but I have dyslexia, so I struggled with reading for many years of my life. It was so traumatizing. I had so many embarrassing instances as a child. Every single Sunday school. I used to take a long time to get ready for Sunday church service so that I wouldn't have to sit through Sunday service because they ask you to read. It was so traumatizing and so embarrassing. And the more years that I grew on, I couldn't read. Could never read. I get so nervous and filled with anxiety that I couldn't read because I struggled with it, but then it would compound itself. So many and being a little black boy and you can't read. There was emotional trauma. And we're talking about the 80s and early 90s. We just now in 2020 started talking about mental wellness. And growing up in my environment, there was no room to be depressed, to be sad. I used to have anxiety on top of the reading. I had so much anxiety that I would have these panic attacks and I would just freak out. There was no medication. I had to learn to sit still. I never got treated or diagnosed, but I used to have major, major anxiety to the point where I would be at the back of the station wagon, and when I'd have an attack, I would be in the back seat that faces the opposite way, my designated seat, and I would be in seconds at the front of the car in my mom's lap, crying and screaming. Couldn't read, had anxiety. You knew that you were black in America, come from a poor family, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the sun, in the Mojave Desert. There was times it got so, I think I've said this before, it got so hot. We had no running water. We had no electricity. We had candles, lanterns, like the camping lanterns for light. We did buckets and hauled our water. There was no running water. And it would get so hot in the summer that I would get under the trailer with the dogs, just down in the dirt with the dogs. And that's where I come from. And it would get so cold in the winter that you couldn't even, the cold would hit you in that desert like somebody punched you in the face. I mean, it would hit you like you thought someone socked you in the face. That's how cold it was when you came out from your cover in the morning. You stayed bundled and bundled up. There was no heater. We were in trailers and campers. Me and my brother, we stayed in a camper, the camper that go on the back of your truck, not the shell, but the full camper, the big old ones. We stayed in that, and my parents slept in the other trailer, a little travel trailer. Then we ended up getting a single wide. I come from all of that, so I know what is possible. Been evicted. I was telling someone yesterday. Had someone, this whole scam, the house, there was a scam. We were in the house, me and my mom and all of my brothers and sisters, and the people that actually owned the house showed up and opened up the front door and asked us why we were in their house. My dad's truck was out front, and they opened up the door to his truck, and they were trying to physically evict, like just trying to figure out what we were doing. We had no clue. We were just there, trying to sort out the situation. This was no internet, no cell phones. There's nothing like that. You just had to sit there. You couldn't film this. No police came. You just got violated, disrespected. So that's what makes me look at the world the way I do. And I have great empathy for those that are suffering. And I'm going to default to maybe more empathy than I don't even know. You can't even measure that. But this is what I'm thinking about right now. This is what's important to me as we see our world go through major, major pain. These are just physical things and stories. And these illustrations, I hope, can be a help to give you a perspective of what is possible and the journey that people go through to get to sit in front of you. We never know what people are carrying, the pain that they are carrying. Where there is a river, and where that river begins, I will go. And where that river ends, you will find my soul. Black water may be painful, but let it make your soul a little bit more thankful. Mm. 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 Those dusty roads, they call my name. They sing an old, old song from my past. Mm-hmm. 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 I've been working on my heart. I've been working on my mind. I've been praying for you. I believe in you. You will make it through the darkest night. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just at the surface. We don't have to dig for it. We just scrape it right off the top. Yes, 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 yes. I'm so glad we showed up today. So make sure, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, Travis Johnson Studios, and I think we put it in the little note here, the Travis Johnson art.squarespace.com, and then you can find me on Facebook and YouTube. We post these episodes after they air live, and other videos as well. Give to Black artists. They need it. We need it. I need it. It keeps this thing going. It goes right back into the gas tanks and the gas stations and the rent. It's one big circle, not a triangle. I'm inspired. I'm challenged. There's a lot of work we have to do. We're in this together. We aren't going nowhere until it's our time. And none of us leave with clean hands. We have to get our hands dirty. We have to be willing to get our hands dirty with our fellow man. And that shit is not for the faint of heart. Because we're not always going to want to. We're going to be hurt. And hurt is comforting. To be hurt by all the things that happened in 2020 and before. To be hurt by a lifetime. But we can't let that hurt stay in our bodies. It makes us sick. It's not healthy to keep that inside. So we have to find a way to find joy and to get the hurt out. We have to find healthy ways. Sometimes we're not able to do that. There's seasons where we're not able to do that. But let us seek for that. Let us strive for that. Let us strive to empty our hearts from hurt and to find joy. Life is hard enough. Let the paint dry.